Ever wonder how a sacred temple herb ended up next to candy at your gas station? Yep, we're talking about licorice, that black, chewy, strangely polarizing candy that half the world swears by and the other half thinks tastes like cough syrup. But licorice wasn't always a controversial sweet. In fact, it began as a temple remedy, prized by priests, pharaohs, and healers long before sugar was added. Now let's dive into how this ancient root went from healing the sick to being that candy you either love or spit out, right here on History of Food. Our story starts over 4,000 years ago in ancient Mesopotamia, where the licorice root was first used for its medicinal powers. People weren't munching on black candy back then. They were brewing it into tonics to treat sore throats, ulcers, and even fatigue. Basically, it was ancient Gatorade. The Egyptians later took it to another level. They called it sweet root, and it became so popular that pharaohs were buried with it. Archaeologists even found bundles of licorice root in King Tut's tomb. Imagine that, the boy king's eternal snack stash. But it wasn't just an Egyptian thing. The Greeks and Romans were also big fans of licorice, using it to soothe sore throats and stomach troubles. Soldiers carried it on long marches because it supposedly kept thirst at bay. Even Alexander and Caesar used licorice to keep their voices strong. Licorice spread across Asia and Europe, prized in Chinese medicine as a harmonizing herb for coughs, inflammation, and heart problems. In Europe, monks grew it in monastery gardens, and by the Middle Ages, it was a common remedy in apothecaries. Back then, liking licorice meant enduring a thick, bitter syrup, not enjoying candy. Medicine with a side of misery. Licorice made the leap from herbal remedy to candy in the 17th and 18th centuries when European apothecaries realized people hated the taste of medicine. Their solution? Add sugar, lots of it. In Pontefract, England, monks had been cultivating licorice since the 1500s, and by the 1700s, a local apothecary mixed licorice extract with sugar, creating the first Pontefract cake. Small black coins stamped with the town seal. Though still sold as a medicinal lozenge, people quickly enjoyed them for fun. By the 19th century, licorice candy had arrived. Factories produced thousands of chewy coins, and licorice became as much a treat as it was a tonic. Then came the industrial age, and with it, candy mania. Licorice manufacturers got creative. Some mixed it with molasses or honey, others added anise oil to boost the flavor. That's where the strong, punchy, black licorice taste we know today really came from. It's often more anise than actual licorice root. By the early 1900s, licorice candy had exploded across Europe. England, the Netherlands, and Scandinavia became licorice capitals. The Dutch especially went wild for it. They even eat it salty. Yeah, salty licorice, the kind that shocks unsuspecting tourists. And of course, America got in on the trend too. Immigrants brought over their licorice recipes, and soon companies like Twizzlers, founded in 1845, and Good and Plenty were rolling out chewy ropes and pastel-coated bites. Ironically, Twizzlers' black licorice was one of their original flavors, long before the cherry red ones took over movie theaters. But somewhere along the way, licorice got controversial. See, the flavor of licorice root is naturally intense, sweet, herbal, slightly bitter, and earthy. When candy makers exaggerated it with anise oil, it became divisive. Some people describe it as rich and nostalgic. Others say it tastes like eating perfume or licking a tire. There's no middle ground. In fact, studies have shown that black licorice flavor is one of the most polarizing tastes in the candy world. Right up there with candy corn and circus peanuts. You either crave it or you'd rather chew on drywall. But even if you hate the candy, the plant itself is fascinating. Glycyrrhizin, licorice's sweet compound, is 50 times sweeter than sugar and can soothe inflammation and coughs. So yeah, those old temple healers weren't totally wrong. Here's the wild part. Too much licorice can actually be dangerous. In large doses, glycyrrhizin messes with your body's potassium levels, potentially causing heart issues. In fact, the FDA once issued a warning. If you're over 40 and eat more than 2 ounces of black licorice a day for a couple of weeks, you could end up with an irregular heartbeat. Imagine explaining that in the ER. Nowadays, licorice has 2 very different lives. On one hand, it's still used in herbal medicine, teas, cough drops, even skincare products. On the other, it's hanging out in candy aisles, usually next to gummy bears and sour worms. Most black licorice candy today actually doesn't contain any real licorice root. It's just flavored with anise or artificial extracts. And let's not forget red licorice, the rebel cousin that hijacked the family name. Red vines, strawberry Twizzlers, cherry whips, all of them call themselves licorice, yet contain 0 licorice root. It's pure fruity imposter energy. But honestly, they probably saved the licorice name from extinction because kids would never line up for something that tasted like herbal medicine. So, let's take a second to appreciate licorice's glow-up. This humble root went from temple medicine and Pharaoh's stash to one of the oldest candies still around today. It survived thousands of years, countless flavor trends, and an entire generation that swore off weird-tasting sweets. Love it or hate it, licorice represents one of humanity's oldest obsessions, turning something bitter and medicinal into something sweet. So the next time you see that black twisty rope or those little coins sitting on the shelf, remember, you're not just looking at candy. You're looking at a 4,000-year-old remedy that's been through empires, monks, and industrial sugar revolutions. It's more than a snack, it's history with a chewy center. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution.